can be a both and conversation, not an either or conversation.
So
So when
why
we're
are we
talking
always,
about,
Dr. Patillo, talking about
Mhm.
their laws? We're always talking about going to their courts. We haven't established one tribunal to represent anyone of melanated persuasion. Every leader is a leader that is trying some kind of trickery with their laws, their writings. It's like me formulating a religion from them stealing all of my knowledge and then them interpreting it into a knowledge that looks like them. Oh, they did that too. So
Mhm.
what has to take place before we
Well,
boycott
I will use
this people?
I'll use the past as prologue again. That seems to be the theme of the show. That as I've said on the show before, I think that our form of reparations has to be the one that was promised in the Sherman Field
It
Order
has to
number
be
15.
internal,
It
sir.
has to be
They
land
can't give
based.
us reparations.
Well, no,
We
hold
are
on. My
broken.
point is, let me finish so we can have a conversation.
Go
That it
ahead,
has to
sir.
be land based reparations, and I think the best example of that is what we're seeing in the Middle East today when it comes to Israel. Israel as a nation is reparations for the Jewish community in order to repay them and repair them to what happened to them during the Holocaust, what happened to them in Eastern Europe,
Repair who?
what happened to them for. Give me a
Are you
second.
talking
What
about
happened to
repairing
them
the Jews?
Give me a second so I can explain. I'm making an analogy because of the things that historically happened to their community. They were given as reparations the nation of Israel. So, what did that include? It included the geographical territory. It also included a military guarantee to ensure that they
Oh
were
my
not
God.
invaded by any of their neighbors that lasted until this day. It also came with billions of dollars of economic aid. There's a bill before the Senate
Given
right now
by
to send
who,
them another
Dr. Patello?
$10 billion of economic aid. I
I
want the
apologize,
same
sir.
deal. I want the same deal for
Sir,
black folks in this
who were they?
nation.
Who had the
Hold on,
right
hold on. I
to
want the
give them
same
land
deal
that
for
was
black
not
folks in this
theirs
nation
ever?
that the
And
Jewish
there's
people got
nothing.
for Israel in the
Everything
Middle
they
East.
did was
So
a
give us the
crime against
same.
the nation
Get,
that caused them to be removed from that nation. If we were taught
Understood, but the
history,
point is,
we would know why
you were
people have a
asking about
problem
what can
with
we
this
do as a
people.
legal basis in order to achieve these goals. I think that you have to have the same deal, the same Zionist movement that created them a nation state that survived for the last 80 years, become one of the most prosperous nations in the regions,
Those
one of the most
things.
powerful militaries in the regions. We need that same deal to take place here in the U.S., not to give us
Oh
land
no,
in
no, sir.
Africa
No,
stolen
we
from
have to
other
prove that this
Africans.
is their
We have to
land
take
first,
our
Mr.
own
Patello.
land here. But go ahead,
Mr.
I'll give the
Patello,
mic over to you. Go
you must
ahead.
have me on mute.
No, no,
No,
go ahead.
you
Go ahead.
see, you're reiterating ignorant education that they've been using to make it seem like no, there were no black people here. We just came here and there were some lighter skinned people that looked like us, and we took the land from them and brought all these black people from someplace else. That's not the case, sir. That's why they're in uproar over critical race theory. And thank you for letting me say these things, sir, because I know you're not supposed to say it, but black people listening boycott. We have to love each other to fix what's going on the planet. We can't be anti-African. We can't be anti-African
Mhm.
American. We can't be anti-anything because we have to learn to love each other and make the wealth of being on this planet each other because we back every currency on this planet. So why are we teaching each other to bow down to a lesser God?
Look, I agree with that, but the point that I'm making is
Well, I'm glad
you
you
were
agree.
asking
Thank you.
from, yeah, you were asking from a legal political
No, I
status.
wasn't, sir. No, I wasn't.
How can we work
No, I
towards
wasn't.
creating a nation state of our own with self determination, self governing,
Do it.
independence, economic trade that actually builds for ourselves? My point is that we have to follow the rubric of what other nations have done in similarly
Who
situated
says that?
conditions. And because that's what, if you look at the constitution of other countries,
Has
they're
it
modeled
worked?
off the
We've been doing
constitution
that
of a
for
different country.
over a century, Dr.
We
Patello.
have not done that
Over a
for a century, and
century,
that's the
we have had
problem.
our
We've
people
been
try to make political amends with this business. This is a business we're talking about, and we are their commodity as long as we say, oh, well, I really want an ID card that says I'm part of your group.
Well, no, that's
But
the
we don't
exact
have an ID
opposite of what
card.
I'm
And if we
saying.
get one,
The
we
point,
ask
the point that
them
I'm
if
making
we can
is
have
you
an
have to
ID
advocate
card.
for your own independent nation that is given all the benefits, everything that they gave to Israel to make that nation successful. We
See, you
want that
keep
given to
okay,
ours.
okay.
Look at the way that
You keep bringing up Israel,
Monrovia
sir,
failed in the
like
19th
Jesus
century.
gave
The
Israel the
reason
right to
that the
do this, or
Monrovia
some
failed
deity.
was because, one, they were stealing land from other Africans to give to African Americans, and two, they did not provide them with the resources needed to militarily defend themselves, to economically support themselves, to be able to trade with other nations, and actually create a thriving African American colony. So, in order to avoid the pitfalls of Monrovia and the Liberia experiment, and also see everything that benefited the Israeli community in the creation of the Jewish state, we need to take that and combine knowledge of history and use that to create the nation that we want for ourselves. And that has to be the crux of the conversation that we have. It can't just simply be about handing out checks to people or being around folks that we love. It has to be about creating the social political apparatus needed for actual independence and nationhood. I thank you so much for your call, Yessie. We'll be back after the break. Calling 404-726-1380 News and Talk 1380 WA.